Hello, everyone, and welcome to another scene within the living world of darkness. This is the Changeling venue, where Itra currently, or otherwise known as Zaina, is currently needing to find some books at the Columbia University Library. Um, she needs to find more medical tomes on, well, you guessed it, more drugs. She needs to catalog more side effects, more banal medicine names and chemicals, and even though this isn't necessarily the thing she wants to do right now, even though it's something she needs to, she's still going to be pushing through. Um, she simply is going to take the books that she needs to take. She has a notepad, and as I forgot the famous philosopher, but when you read, write. That's what she'll currently be doing. Oh, oh. So until Sarah comes back, we're having an intermission. Probably have to put an annotation. Everything good?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just
Okay.
phone stuff. Press the wrong button. Okay. Now, Xenia's in the library, and from what it sounds like, she was taking notes just like any other student would be. And
Hmm.
pharmacology is so boring. It is rote memorization for most of it, at least when you're initially learning
Yeah.
the drug names. I understand it can get more creative later on, but as for what you're doing though, instinctually, even more than it being boring to you on a human level, now this process of just repeating the thing and copying it down, it doesn't, unless there's something that really gets your blood pumping about this, um, it repels you on now a supernatural level. So
Hmm.
it's even harder for you to do.
I think as a studying tool to make things a little bit more fun and interesting, and also to help her remember specific drugs. She's gonna put on some music in her earbuds. She's gonna probably play very thoughtful, very melodic instrumental music, and she's going to, like, with the different compounds and what the side effects do. She's almost gonna write a little bit of a almost either a poem or like a paragraph story next to each drug. It'll probably make things take longer, but who knows? Maybe it might help seep in the memory just to make things a little bit more interesting.
Okay, okay, you took the time writing little stories and stuff about these drugs. So that'll spare you from the chill for now. Um, it's at this time, great thing about university libraries is that they're a fantastic resource not only for the students but for you know staff, anybody that comes off the street because you don't
Hmm.
need to scan cards to get in, um, and the faculty. So the an older gentleman, not too old, not too old. We're gonna say that looks to be in about his 30s, maybe late 30s, early 40s. Um, Xenia will, of course, recognize him back when she was Etra, as
Hmm.
Caleb Rothran comes in and turns in some of his books and is about to spin on his heel over to um, the philosophy department when he stops and looks at you and if you're looking up from all your work, you're of course going to notice. Maybe you're going to feel um, the warmth emanating from him. He's certainly noticing it from you.
She kind of probably doesn't even look right up right away. She's probably just so focused on the work. And then she kind of feels a strange warmth. And she'll probably look up and recognize and see Professor Rothwin, and kind of get taken a little bit aback by what she sees, which is probably his Feymane as well as his normal self, which she's probably shocked at. And she's probably doesn't know what to say at this point. And she just kind of gives a little bit of a wave, like, very shy one, most likely.
And he grins. Suddenly he looks mischievous and looks around, gives you a wave back, and starts towards you. He looks like delighted and perplexed and excited. Um, you wish you'd. He was not the most enthusiastic lecturer sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
but you
I, I
definitely see it in him now.
I assume there was a little bit of an existentialist streak to his lectures.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Why? Why?
This creation seems more energy efficient if it just didn't exist at all. I don't know. Anyway,
Nihilist there.
anyway,
But
so she
no, no, he quickly makes his way over to you and he goes, forgive
Professor
me.
Professor Rothwin.
And you can tell he's
It's
smiling. He's like,
it's
I remember you.
yeah, I remember you. Well,
You've changed a lot.
she kind of looks down at herself and her notes and realizes what she's doing, and she says, "I would say you have too. I think."
Come on, put that stuff away. It's an easy way to catch a chill. Why don't you come with me?
She kind of looks down at her stuff and smiles and puts away the phone. Says, "All right, sure, why not?"
I think we've got a lot to talk about.
I think we do.
And so you're packing up your stuff. He's just studying you with a grin, and you'll notice his bog and mane is not that dissimilar from what he looked like as a human, but the features are more enunciated. His nose was always a little bulbous, but now it's much more so. His cheeks bigger, rounder, less of a chin. Lines in his forehead are more pronounced. Hair is somehow fluffier, wilder, crazier. More like the Nutty Professor almost. His hands are much thicker, hairier too. God, the hair. Hair on the back of his neck, hair out of his ears, hair on his fingers. And he's dressed in uh, what you would imagine those, sexy Renaissance painters on the covers of romance novels would wear with the Renaissance, farmer sort of blouse and with the ties and stuff, and then the little breeches, except for it's what's on effectively a hobbit. So maybe not the exact same effect as, those hunky Renaissance guys on the cover of romance
Right.
novels.
So probably a little bit more humble appearance.
Yeah, it sags in different places for this guy
Mm,
and is tighter over others.
hey, no judgment here.
But clearly he's dressed as the idea of a philosopher, way more so, like almost cartoonishly so, in his fame.
If it was, he would almost be wearing the Greek robes. If he went like to that top notch there.
Oh, I'm gonna leave the togas for the satyrs for right now, but
Fair enough.
we'll see. Um, so anyways, you pack up your stuff and the two of you leave, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, I just can't speak as freely as I want to." And to tell you, my office seems so far away at this point. Come from we're almost there. We're almost there.
Yeah,
You know,
I remember your office. I
but now
remember.
I can really show it to you.
Oh,
Says with a massive grin. He points out to the campus lawn that's between the giant library and the
yeah.
philosophy buildings and stuff. He points to it and goes, "I once fought a dragon there once, you know," in a low whisper.
Oh, really? I've
Yeah.
She kind of looks. I I don't know if I want to. What was that like? She says.
You don't know if you what?
What was it like?
Oh, it was terrifying. The thing almost ate me, of course. But right as it had its giant tongue looped around my belly and was about to sling itself down, or sling me right down its throat, Gwydion, she came by and lopped its tongue off and stuck its sword right in its heart and took all the glory, quite frankly.
Ah,
But that's the
Gwydion.
way.
I've heard things.
Oh, you have? Tell me how. You know what? We're getting ahead of ourselves. Uh, okay. Okay. We're
She's looking left and right.
almost.
As oh yeah. Oh shit. Gotta. You know.
And he starts to lead you, up to his office. It's on the second floor. You've been there a couple times before, maybe to pick up grades or that kind of thing, or drop off a late paper, that kind of deal.
She will say she maybe had like when it came to some maybe one or two papers like he wanted her to come up and maybe she found some problems with it or maybe she was really struggling with philosophy. Who knows? We could say that.
Yeah. And finally, they get to the second floor, and they get to his office. But he actually keeps on going past his office.
Ah,
And
what your real office? Huh?
they keep on walking and that kind of thing. And he just grins. He's not going to give it away yet. Um, there are a lot of buildings in Colombia that are very old. This is an old university. Might explain why
Right.
it has so much money. But this particular building goes all the way back to the mid 1800s, a time when laundry chutes were still a thing. And because this building used to be other things several times over, it does have them. And he opens up the door to one of these laundry chutes and, you know, hoists himself up and phew, down he goes, right down the chute.
He just goes down
It-
one to shoot.
yeah, it was weird because he's a little bit shorter in his fey mane than he is in his human. So
Right.
you're not sure if he bumped his head or not. It happened so fast.
She kind of looks confused, like, and she just kind of looks left and right and up, and she just kind of looks towards the chute. Maybe looks down the chute first. She says, she actually goes down. You okay?
And when you look down there, all you see are spider webs, tons and tons and tons of spider webs. that have different papers stuck to them, loaves of bread, Girl Scout cookies, toilet paper, um, extra pins, those really nice ones, with the thick black gel ink.
Ooh.
A leather-bound notebook, odds and ends like sprinkled across all these spider webs.
She kind of looks down and says, "Well," she shrugs and she, takes her backpack, kind of has it, she jumps in and she has the backpack falling behind her if she's even able to fit.
and and she gets down there and she's an issue. So even in her female, she's quite long and lanky, but she does fit. I mean, even humans could fit down these things back in the day. Highly not recommended, but
Probably
possible.
not.
She goes down there and the first spider web she bounces off and ricochets into another spider web and then ricochets into another, and back and forth. And it feels like you go 7, 10 of these things before finally you go plop on something that is very soft and slightly sticky. But you're
She
okay. You're dizzy, but you're okay.
probably feels a little bit disoriented. Looks around, see if looks up, see if her backpack's about to fall on her.
um, it's okay. It's actually kind of stuck to the very last spider web, so you'll need to go back and get it.
Yeah.
Um,
Luckily, I got a staff to see if I can get that.
are you all right there? And Caleb says,
And
and
she says, "Quite, actually, quite all right."
welcome to my office. And then he gestures up, and you see that there are bookshelves that line everything. There's like a flickering light that's coming from somewhere, so you can't actually see the extent of this freehold. It's all quite dark. You can see the silhouettes of the spider webs and so forth, and then you can see like all these different bookshelves and books and so forth, just everywhere. Beauty and the Beast has nothing on this place.
She just says it, looking up at all the books. Where do you find the time?
I don't, if I'm honest. I've read only a fraction of what's here. You might have guessed this wasn't mine to begin with. I'm not sure whose it was. I found it one day.
I say,
If I had to guess, I think it might have been a sluice. Wait, do you know what those are yet?
I've done a little bit of reading of the different kiths, the most prominent ones. I've heard of the
Oh,
Slua.
okay.
I was actually thinking, are you a boggin or a Slua for a second there? Especially with all the spider webs and just how quickly you
Oh,
managed
no,
to
the
escape.
spider webs are actually my creation. I fought a giant spider a long, long time ago. God, it feels like a long, long time ago. And in reality, it was only a couple years ago when all this was brand new to me. I
Yeah,
killed that. I killed that.
my
No Gwydion
memories.
to save me that time.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, a lot of adventures. You're just about to have a lot of adventures, if you haven't already.
Well, I fought a rat king in the New York subway. That was quite the little side distraction.
The Rat King.
Yeah. He came off one of the subways on top of the tracks and came up on my head and he started to tear at me. And then I ran into a bunch and then we ran and then I ran into a bunch of friends and eventually finally managed to kill the one of the girls. Her name was Diva, I think. Managed to finally kill the thing with a garbage bag bin, and on the safe side, chuck the guy over into the other tracks as his train was coming.
Oh my god. Oh, you didn't kill it though, did you?
I don't think so.
Careful. about killing other creatures of the dreaming. Can come back to bite you. Although it sounds like this one might have already done so.
She kind of like rubs her arm where the rat king bit her like a bunch of times, and she says, "Yeah, yeah, I think he did."
No, the spider webs are mine, but the darkness, no matter what I do, it's been almost 3 years since I've had this place, and no matter what I do, I can't get the darkness to go away. I'll light fires and try to use my mind. Oh yes, when you have a freehold, there are ways to control it, to shape it when it's yours.
Mm-hmm.
But it just won't listen to me on that account.
Have you tried making it so that people who enter the freehold, instead of creating lights, making it so that they can see in the dark?
So that I can see in the dark?
At least you.
I was gonna say it is kind of an advantage, but I've never encountered an enemy that could get into my freehold. They say the She did when they first came back.
I keep hearing about how
I don't
they
know.
came back.
What? Oh, you haven't heard the tale?
I've heard a really fast summary.
I still remember when they came back. That was actually the summer that I chrysalised.
Oh,
I've been a I've been what I am for a long time, but I've only had a freehold for a few years now.
you mostly went by on your
Yeah.
own?
No, they came back the summer of 1969. I was out camping when it happened. My friends were telling me that she were coming back, that there were places now in the dreaming that were like houses that we could get to. Um, Freeholds, of course, but we didn't know that yet. They said that the She were taking them and using them to control us. I had barely returned from my summer vacation with my parents when war broke out.
I'm guessing it was because the people that wanted to keep those freeholds that were left behind.
It's somebody told me all great wars are over land. Or maybe I read it. I'm a terrible philosophy teacher. I can say that now that you've already had my class.
Maybe I chill out with the existentialism.
But it was more than the land. Yes, freeholds to ourselves, places that can withstand whatever reality has to throw at us. That was new and wonderful. Literally filled us with wonder at the time. She took most of them, but she expected us to get in line. Most of us at that time thought that we would never see She again. They were really a fairy tale, and that we would have to fend for ourselves for a short time before we went back to being human. We didn't want that short time to be our lives controlled by somebody else.
So freedom.
Yes.
Those who sought what they wanted, and perhaps power and control, and perhaps pride was involved, from what I'm gleaning.
No pride on both sides.
I guess there's always pride then, from what it
Pride
looks
at
like.
any cost. But looking back at all of it, now that it's all done and everyone's died, that did permit, really people didn't want things to change. Some commoners were excited that the Shi were here. They were excited to get in line, and of course, I hear occasionally that there were some Shi that were fine to let commoners do what they wanted and have them on equal footing with Shi. But there weren't that many of them that felt like it. Mainly, the Shi wanted things as they remembered them, and the commoners, us, wanted things to continue.
So that's how the feudal society kind of they tried to mix this weird feudal society but living in a democratic and their mortal sides. Is that why?
And they still think they can.
Why not just make it a constitutional
They still
monarchy?
think they can no matter what. No matter how many things change, no matter what comes into the kingdom or what leaves forever. I watched this whole thing with the Adhene in amazement.
What are the Adhene? I never got a straight answer.
um, to be honest, a lot of us still don't know. But
They.
I could talk all day. I'm getting ahead of myself. How long have you been what you are?
She kind of counts her head. Month and 8 days.
Oh, so young. That is
Just.
wonderful. I am so jealous of you right now.
Why is that?
You have such amazing things ahead of you. You have no idea what you are about to experience and see and the emotions that you're going to feel. Whereas I have maybe only a few years left before I
Oh,
become human again and lose this second life of mine.
she nods.
Waning, and yours is just beginning. It's the natural order, but I'm jealous still.
I, even though this is what I am, I'm told that ours. I'm just kind of confused because if I'm basically two people inside a body, or this mortal
Two
show.
people inside a body. Who told you that? Some she? And he looks kind of agitated at that idea. Like that, slightly
From
offended.
what I was
Who
told is
who
that
told you
we're
that?
fae souls that reincarnated and as a child was being birthed into the world and they kind of fused together.
Well, the fusing is correct. You're not two things inside one body.
Ah,
You're one thing, and you're in one body. As am I. You were
so
always meant to be what you are now.
ah, so what is so when we fade, does that mean I'll still be Itra too?
Yes. Um, think of it, oh dear. This is terribly dull, but I'm trying to think of some sort of human example. Mm, a person that has the sickle cell trait might go their entire life not encountering malaria. But if they ever do, they'll encounter malaria, and instead of it overtaking their body and killing them, they'll just have flu like symptoms. The sickle cell trait, not actually sickle cell anemia, protects them. It was something that was within them and didn't necessarily have to be used. I'm sure I could use a better example.
I guess.
Think of it like a hidden trait within us. And some people might go their whole lives mm, birthing as a human and dying as a human. And to me, that is sad that they never realized what they could have been inside. But I don't necessarily believe that they were less for it. So when we eventually revert back to human, because with the exception of very few, that is what will happen.
Mhm.
Don't think of it as a bad thing. It's just you, it's what you were supposed to do. You are now two people. So, Itra, you have chosen a name for yourself?
Um, I more remembered one.
Remembered.
Zaina.
Oh, that's good. Zaina. Good.
And
You didn't happen to remember another name, did you?
she kind of looks down to herself. What do you mean?
A very personal name. When you think of it, it will make you feel more alert, make your heart beat faster and your breath quicken.
Out of character, is this like my Fey name? Not my true name, but my Fey name?
No, he's fishing around to see if you remembered your true name.
Ah. And she kind of thinks to herself, no, I don't I don't think so. Not yet.
Have you been told meaning?
I've heard of the saying. I haven't gone through mine yet.
No, no, and you shouldn't. Only a month old. Traditionally, mm, you're educated by one person or a group of people that act together and have not acknowledged that they are going to act together in this. And they provide you with an education for a year. And at the end of the year, you are sane. It means that you are fully responsible for your actions within Fae society now. It gives you privileges. You're basically saying that you're an adult and you can do all the grown-up things that other Fae do. It's got downsides too. It means that you take all your consequences.
Yeah. Hey, I've already gotten a little bit of taste of the adult life. Not sure what the differences are in the Fey world, but is what it is, I
Well,
guess.
banishment is usually as severe as it can get, but there are plenty of good things that can happen too.
Well, I don't plan to get in anybody's way or, you know, make anyone angry higher up. That's not exactly part of my plans.
On the subject of making people angry, making things angry, do you know of this new reality that you see? Do you know of its moods and its opinions, its personality?
That's a very esoteric question.
Hmm.
Um, she kind of looks around. I get a feeling that all of this is about making making everything feel like a dream. That weird feeling as if it's real, but it's not at the same time. That there are possibilities. And
Hey,
I get a lot of nostalgia these days.
nostalgia.
Yeah. Every time I go to the
For what?
water. Huh? For what?
The water.
Yeah.
Nostalgia for the water.
Yeah. Watching the clouds, especially when it's not raining, but they're nice, like deep dark gray or black clouds.
You should pursue that. Any sort of instinctual feelings, you should follow them. Nothing happens by coincidence anymore for you, at least in
So,
your Fey life.
at least in my Fey life. But
I never did
coincidence.
figure out, never really did figure out the meaning of life for humans, but there's meaning for Fey.
I think the meaning for humans is to make their own.
Oh, I
At
don't
least
know.
that was my thought. That was at least my thoughts when I took your classes.
Opinion.
Of course.
What I was saying about the moods. The dreaming. Do you know of that place?
I've been to freeholds like this one. I've heard of it.
And he scoffs. He goes, This can't hold a candle to the dreaming. Yes, it's strong and it's protected and it has a balefire, yes, which if you don't know, I will talk to you about. But it's not the full glory of what dreams can build. That's the dreaming. They say that it was the commoners that originally built the dreaming. And the She's dream lords ruled in there. Back when Earth and the dreaming meshed into each other, there wasn't a hard divide. When the mists would roll over Earth and roll back into the dreaming, and everybody would mingle. But now the dreaming is apart. These freeholds are connected somehow. And often you'll find trods in freeholds, which are roads that lead directly to the dreaming.
I've heard about
But
trods.
not all of them do.
Oh.
Be careful with trods. You don't always know where they're going to lead, and some of them can be deceptive. Some of them
Yes.
are not always there all the time. Some of them are only there if you do a certain thing. And some of them will go to different things depending on just anything, depending on the time of day or what year it is, or if its owner is in a good or a bad mood. So they're not roads. But yes, some do lead to the dreaming.
The dreaming is a very mutable place.
Beautiful place?
Mutable, like ever changing.
It is the very definition. And to a lesser extent, the chimerical reality that you encounter every day now.
Yeah,
And
that
that's
one's
what we
been
call it.
chimerical. Like chimera. What is it called? Chimerical.
Named after the chimera that are everywhere. And they say that the commoners didn't have a hand in this, that chimerical reality was just something that appeared on its own. It's a bit like a sister of the dreaming. The two of them have their own personalities and opinions, while while God or gods or deities in general, for humans, are always depicted as something that's aloof. We Fae don't have a formal cosmology, We say that there were deities involved in our making.
The Tuatha?
Oh, even before that, but yes, the Tuatha are involved. But the dreaming and chimerical reality are our supernatural forces now. They are strong in some ways, weak in others, and they can carry a grudge, or they can look upon you favorably. They can nudge your story along, or they can give you red herrings. And never think that just because you're in the chimerical reality, that it isn't watching you, mm, judging. It's like a permanent audience for your story. Because now
So
everybody is a main character.
everybody's the main character. So definitely a feeling of Sonder.
Yes. Of course, we'll say that they're the main characters. They'll even say that the dreaming backs them up on this. I don't know, I was never convinced. But you are definitely special. You are a child of the dreaming. And it will protect you. Later on, you will walk the silver path. Maybe with me. And you'll see the protection I'm talking about. But there's also terrible things in there.
Well, when you say anything is possible, people tend to forget the other side of that saying.
Well, before I became Fae, I'd never truly had my life in danger. I think I'd been mugged once, but not exactly life endangering, just terrifying.
And I'm guessing that
Do you know
changed,
what you
especially when you
are?
start. Do I know what I am? Like my kith?
Yes. Oh, good. You know what kiths are.
Yes. I am apparently Ishu. So they say. I'm
You
still
are.
a.
A
She looks
bald
down.
head like that? That's Ishu.
And I'm sure the pointy ears and the. I guess the traveling attire.
And the fine features and yes, everything about you says Ishu to me. Unless there's some mystery kith that I haven't met yet.
I
And
hear
there
there
are
are those
still a
other.
fair few of those.
I hear there are a couple. Like they even. There's so many kiths that it's hard to document them all.
There's thousands. And if you go into the dreaming, there's thousands on top of that. But no, you look Ishu. You even look slightly related to um, this girl's mother that I dated a couple decades ago. Hope that's not weird. But yes, you look Ishu. And he straightens up.
Kind of has. She kind of has like a kind of look when he says that, but just kind of puts it to the side. What makes you say that?
What?
What makes you say that I look related to someone?
Mm, I don't know, just something I thought. It's odd, as a human, you didn't look especially so, but as Faye, what was her name? Oh well.
She says
Anyways,
just for fun. She says her name didn't. This person didn't happen to be named Sarah.
no, that's odd. Um, do you know a Sarah?
That would be my mother.
She was a very lovely woman.
She kind of looks Chucklish and she says,
Oh.
"Wait a minute." She kind of looks at him. I'm when my mom comes home, gets back.
Oh, shh. Oh, wait, does she know?
She shrugs. I don't know. I haven't talked to her. She's been away for a little while. Probably not gonna come back home until I think 2 weeks from now. She's at a. We'll just say at a character that she's at a.
Oh, that'll be quite the surprise.
Yeah, and she says, "Yeah." So wait a
She
minute.
might be able to feel it off you too.
You
Oh,
you dated my mother?
there's only so many commoners in New York City. Actually, there's quite a few Fae in New York City. Maybe, maybe. Not confirmed yet. I've had a long life as a Fae. Longer than I ever thought I would get.
She actually says, "Wait a minute." That mean, well, if I was around, that means she was with my dad at the time. Oh, mom, you were naughty. That's messed up. She says.
His eyes get slightly wide. You know what? I might be mistaken. Um, where were we? But weren't we talking about Adheen or something like that? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we were talking. She kind of
Okay.
looks at him with a little bit of suspicion. Yeah, we were talking about Adheen.
Yes. They started to hear reports about them about 5 years ago now. 5.5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Then of course the war. And he's moving along as fast as he can. Um, yeah, the war was announced about 3 years ago. There, Lenore. Oh, God rest her soul.
Hang on, I'm getting a
Uh,
picture. Not that one. She kind of almost looks at him when you saw the humanity picture.
it's terrible.
She kind of looks at him a little bit like this. Like stroking her chin, like, yeah, like while he's going off about the Adheen and stuff like that. I'm trying to change the
He's like,
subject.
yeah, evil kid. Of course, we're even letting Thalain into our kingdom now. That are, you know, practitioners
Mm-hmm.
of darker arts, and well,
What
the truth
what
is,
what
not a lot of us
constitutes? She
know
says,
much
what
about any
constitutes a dark art?
those that elicit dark glamour, of course. Tell me, have you mused somebody yet? Have you acquired extra glamour?
I
Do you know
remember.
how to? Has anybody taught you how to eat? Essentially,
No,
sounds crude, but it's necessary.
no, I mean, there was one time when Xavier, another Boggin, he recently chrysalised. I felt the glamour from him, but I never.
Fill you up.
I,
Sorry, it filled you up. It made you feel warm and happy.
I wouldn't necessarily say happy, but I felt very calm.
Calm. Okay.
Felt very calm.
Yeah. That sounds like glamour. Dark glamour comes from pain,
Suffering.
psychological or physical. Um, comes from pain. So, if somebody uses an art to get that sort of glamour out of somebody, colloquially known as a dark art. And I will have you know that we were saying that years before we ever heard of J.K. Rowling. So there.
Fair enough.
Now, I've got some opinions about people that do that. I call it lazy and selfish and short-sighted. You go around hurting all the people, then
When
well,
being
what
about people
incentive is
left.
there to dream anymore?
Yeah. Eventually, you might just believe that good might not exist anymore, or that it doesn't even have any value.
When you give up hope, when you give up despair, when you give up any sort of strong emotion, when you're just robotically existing on Earth, not only are you going to be miserable as a human, but why are you even living?
That's a
I
question a lot
feel
of
like
people
it's
ask
something
these.
wrong to do to a person. Yeah,
Oh no, you'd be surprised. A lot more people are asking that question these days with the studying that I've been doing. Yeah, it's actually quite sad.
just on a personal level, on a human level, even, I feel like it's a wrong thing to do. If you must be practical, it would mean that there's eventually going to be less food for the rest of us. But yeah, there are people that solely only do that, and they say that the Adhene and things like them only hunt that way, and that they call it hunting. And I have never called it hunting. I've called it musing. I have a student or a colleague or something like that that can't see the beauty in life. I use my gifts as a philosopher. I talk to them about their lives. It's almost therapeutic what I can do. And I can make them happy. Now, that's not something a counselor can guarantee, but I've got almost 100% success rate. And the
Nice.
only times that I wasn't able to is, well, that they left and I couldn't find them because it usually takes a while. You have to build them up and keep talking to them. You have to figure out what makes them tick. You have to bring them to that happiest place. And then that's a special gift I have. They, when they become that happy, when they care that much more about living and about other people, I I can take some of that glamour. I leave plenty for them, but I take some. And it feeds me. And then one day they'll
And
be
then
able
you
to
can,
feed others and it keeps magic in the world.
yeah. And then that way you can, you need some, so you can continue to help more people.
I like doing it. I don't do it on a especially grand scale, but yeah, my job at the university gives me plenty of opportunity to find people, to find people willing to listen to me. That was hard in the beginning. It's not really something that you can do with big lecture halls. So I've lost a lot of my passion for that sort of thing. I miss I miss the smaller classrooms.
Yeah.
Much more back in those days when I was just a teaching assistant. And it was much easier to muse and to make people care.
Yeah.
Anyways, you'll need to figure out how to do that for yourself. If you want, if you're interested, I can certainly help you, but
Well,
you can't rely on new changelings being born all the time to fill you up.
yeah.
Unfortunately, we're
She nods. I guess I was just trying to find. Well, I was. Where do I start to muse? How do I, like, do you just talk to someone and help them, and eventually when you get them
It's
to see the beauty in things again, I can see the glamour? Or
well, first off, you need to if you have the luxury of it, you need to sit down and really think about to you, why do you care about existing? Um yeah. Yeah, well, what is the point? What gets you excited? Feel passionately about if you were to die tomorrow, like what would matter most? And then kind of go from there.
okay,
Um
could I maybe? I notice people are stressed out these days. Everyone is stressed out. You find these interesting statistics about how students, especially, have higher stress levels than 1970s mental hospital patients.
really?
Yeah.
Well, if they would stop taking all those Ritalin. No, never mind. Oh, and those rock stars and God knows what else the kids are using these days.
The thing is in a way they kind of need it because there literally isn't enough time in the day to sometimes do the things that to follow these new complicated curriculum. Not only that, with student debt and jobs, and then having like several different side jobs just to keep afloat.
You mentioned earlier um, when there was that other one that was had chrysalis
Mm-hmm.
that you felt calm. Do you think there might be a connection between your concern about stress and feeling that sort of calm sort of glamour?
I guess for me, all my dreams, no matter how action packed they were, no matter how horrifying they were, no matter how much a scene in my mind would be, what someone would consider full of action, it always felt calm. It always felt mysterious.
All
Felt like
right.
I was
Then
wandering through
um,
the lands of the dead in a weird sense.
you need to bear with me um, because
Okay.
this is not my style of musing, but it sounds like it may be yours. It sounds like your ideal mental state of existence is to feel serene. So I would challenge you to find somebody, and they may not be another Fae, find somebody else that has stress and start to talk to them about it. Um, See if you can calm them down and like really help them.
Yeah.
Give them a shoulder to cry on, be there
That's
for them.
that's why I got into psychiatry. That's exactly what I wanted to do.
Still pursuing that? And
Yep.
his eyes bug out.
Second year of residency. Starting third year, I think in October.
I thought you would give that up. Oh,
Really?
Itra. Oh, sorry, Zania. That you're so you're so young. I just
What?
mental health is too complex for me to sum up, but at least on the human side. But I will say for our kind, the the treatment, the cure, um,
There are no cures. Are there any
Yes.
treatments?
Yeah, cure there. Um, that's dangerous for our kind. Our musing abilities, it goes against a lot of how the dreaming is made. Some of the darker parts of the dreaming that, although they are dark, have to exist. It may undo you, this path that you're on.
She kind of. That's
You're
what some
very
people.
young, so you might not understand what you're giving up by continuing to pursue this.
I don't understand how. I keep hearing that, and hey, I get it sometimes with memorizing all the different illnesses and research and studies and essays and that I have to write, even though the essays I actually quite enjoy doing. I I don't understand with the times that I've talked to patients, with some of the things I've said and how some techniques I give them really help them. I'm having a hard time when everyone tells me that it's dangerous. I understand that recently there was a man named Stark, and when I've heard of the practices that he was doing, I was appalled and shocked.
So you do know about that.
But
Now, yes, I've heard some rumors about him, and
see what
yes, of
he,
course, no modern psychiatrist is going to practice like that. Of course not. But there is a reason I believe that he started there, because the current methods to treat mental illnesses, diseases in our society, from a human standpoint, again, it's beyond my scope. They may be quite beneficial and needed to these humans, but from our standpoint, what we are, it goes against how we exist. The dreaming, remember how I told you how it has opinions? It likes the human mind, likes anything about it. Um, it's joy and fear and pain and suffering and elation. And when a human undergoes treatment, a lot of these treatments, while taking away a lot of the parts that harm these people's psyche, it doesn't necessarily replace it with wonder, which is another emotion that would fuel the dreaming. It replaces it with simply the absence. Again, I don't study mental illness, but I know somebody that might previously have been experiencing anxiety. If they take a medication that is going to slow them down a little bit more, it's not replacing it with a bunch of other strong emotions or sense of wonder. It's just slowing them down.
Mhm.
And it's that hurts us.
I suppose you could say I'd like to do more counseling rather than prescribing. At least the path that I want to go down. Even though you do get a little bit of a
Psychologist.
even though you do get a little bit of a bonus when you prescribe something to someone, and she kind of looks like a little bit distaste, almost a little bit have a little bit of contempt in her eyes. There are times from I've heard from my colleagues about how, let's just say, they're a little bit prideful of those bonuses. They talk about how much they're raking in. I
I
I don't believe in that. That's not why I'm getting this. I could have gone into just psychology, But what I thought could be helpful is if someone needed medical attention, or if someone truly needed the medicine, if it eased their suffering, then I have the option and the ability to give that to them. Not as a means to just get rid of the problem. At least that's my philosophy. Some colleagues say that's unrealistic, but I'm going to try. That's all I can do.
You
Look, I understand about perhaps with the dreaming, regardless of what the dreaming thinks, I don't want to replace people's wonder and the suffering that they're having with mental illness with nothing, or with just a dreary, half dead, comatose life. That's not my goal. And that's not, and I've already faced those realities. What I want to do, regardless of what the dreaming thinks about mental care or the mind, there are people that really need help out there. They really do. Now more than
that
ever.
that is a very gallant goal. It's a very noble goal.
But
Be careful. If you're not careful, you find yourself slipping, you might need to make some hard choices.
she
And
nods.
there are some Fae out there that choose to fade back to human. It's what they say they want. Anyways,
Heavy
that's very
subjects with that.
dreary.
Yeah. I
That's very dreary. How
I
about I take you out on the town and I show you everything. Everything, Faye. I you're you're so young, you're only a month. And I don't think you've ever properly seen New York City as a Fae. Oh, yet?
at least I've been trying. Been to Brooklyn, been to Queens, and trying to look under every nook and cranny I can find when I have the time.
Well, have you properly seen Manhattan? Because we can start right here.
Why not? I'm up for
Okay,
another adventure.
let's swing by Home Fires first. And we'll go
Sure.
from there. Home Fires, stop by Goblin Town, swing by Care Palisades. It'll be great.
All right, let's do it. I'm
All
down.
right. Um. Oh, I do not envy the climb we have to do.
Wait, we have to climb out?
Uh-huh.
She kind of looks up.
I haven't thought of a better way.
Maybe a ladder? Like a really long one.
Like a really, really long one? I should make that next time.
She nods. Oh, maybe like have a slide out one at the back, and she kind of points to where the hole is, and then have it slide out so that you can get to the tunnel easier.
You sure you're not a knocker?
She looks
You're
some.
definitely an issue.
Yeah, I'm an issue.
I'm just playing with you. Come on, let's get going.
So she'll try and see how he climbs out of there since he has to do that regularly, and then she'll try and mimic.
It's a weird sort of wiggly, super ungraceful motion. Just like swings back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Um, and finally he'll He'll bounce on the very last one and flip out of there. And he catches himself on the door and he goes, "By the way,
She also would grab her backpack, by the way.
oh yeah, yeah." He was about to yell, "Okay, you got it. Don't want to forget that. It might not be here next time we come back."
She kind of has her eyebrow raised. Why?
I don't know.
She kind of like gets like an inquisitive look. Maybe another time we should try and find out.
Maybe. But something about this place. I don't want to poke it too hard.
She nods. Well,
And yeah, with that, we can say that they hit the town and each receives for the first time Care Palisades, home fires,
well,
and
she's seen home fires before, but she hasn't seen Care Palisades or Goblin Town yet. So what's Care
okay.
Palisades like?
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can talk about it a little bit because you're going to know about that. Then after that, we can end the scene. But
Mhm.
Care Palisades is in it's in Clifton in New Jersey. So actually, it's super super close. I say New Jersey, but literally, it's like butting up to Manhattan.
Mhm.
You yeah, you just cross some water and you're like right there. And it's really big. This is actually the freehold of Queen Mab.
Ah.
He's at Taranar, but Taranar is what David built. This is what she had before, and very gorgeous place. There's rumored to be a unicorn there. Um, it's kind of like a peachy yellow color, massive turrets. Turrets. Um, there's like a legendary picnic that goes on every other day, and Queen Mab, of course, is not there. When we go to Goblin Town, you're going to see that. And actually, let's say that they start in Goblin Town because from where they're going, it would be Goblin Town, then
Mhm.
Home Fires, then they would cross the water and they go to Care Palisades. So Goblin Town is like one massive big wheel. And to get in, either you need to have been born there or you need to have been shown the way because it changes all the time trying to get in. So he's actually got some things to sell. He said that that's usually, unless it's like wartime or you're a she, um, it's usually okay to get in there if you've got something to sell. And he takes you in there, and it looks like, oh, it's crazy. If you've ever seen Hellboy 2, it looks like the
Oh.
Goblin Market there. It's just Jim Henson-esque puppets everywhere. Everything is
What?
being sold, just anything you can think of, and a couple things that kind of surprise you. Um, like everything kind of catches your eye. It's just a Ren Fair gone wild there, and all with the backdrop of the floor moving all the time, the buildings changing all the time and swirling around. And speaking of swirling, there is an odd sort of like oily brown river that runs on the sides of the streets. And of course, it's filled with knockers. No actual goblins that you can tell.
How are the knockers, like their personality wise, for each to kind of get a sense of them?
Um, they are in a terrible mood. They're very upset with the Red Branch Knights. You'll hear that mentioned a couple of times. They're talking about this new announcement from the Bezdin. You'll hear that a couple times, and they swear every 2 seconds, pretty much. That's what you hear the most of, lots and lots of swears. And if you
Right.
haven't been told this already, then your brand new mentor here is going to tell you that it's okay. It's just how they talk.
I
It's nothing they can turn off.
She shrugs and says, "Hey, not here to judge. It's not in my
Um,
job description."
and and actually, He's here to buy some dragon teeth today. So after he's been trading for a while, there doesn't seem to be any currency that he's using today. He's just using an assortment of different toys and what look like some cards. And he trades them in a couple times, then he trades more and more, and finally he finds his way to the dragon's teeth.
The dragon's teeth.
Yeah, he gets some dragon's teeth.
What are you going to be using these for?
And he says, "Oh, for the ink inside, of course."
Ink?
Yeah, dragon's teeth is filled with ink, and it makes the best stories.
She kind of like her ears perk up at that. She says, interesting.
I
Like
think
this
you're
one.
going to find that you really like stories.
I always like the,
Hopefully, as much as I do.
I love a good story.
Oh, you might just be the subject of my next one. Brand new changeling? You're definitely going to go on some adventures.
Well, look, I'd like to think I'm looking forward to them. I mean, this definitely seems like a big opportunity.
Good. Hold on to that feeling for as long as you can. Never get weary, because that's how you age. Literally, I am not being philosophical. The dreaming will age you.
This dreaming is this. That's the character of the dreaming is very interesting.
It's definite personality.
Hmm.
Anyways, if you're okay, let's end the scene here.
Yep, we'll do that. I'm game for that.
Okay,
All
cool.
right. Well,
And
thank you, narrator, for narrating. Appreciate it. Everyone out watchers, thanks for watching. If you're out there, peace out.